All right, so we've come to our We've come to our feature interview with Margarita from Edge of Paradise. This is a woman near and dear to our heart. We interviewed her way back in season 1. Um, Anything we have asked this woman to do, including recording sound bites for us, advice, she's always been there.
She gets it. She gets it.
Yeah, she gets it. She is also on our wall of fame back there. You probably can't see her, but her picture's back there, signed and everything.
Yeah.
So we were really excited to have her back now that we're a little more experienced on season 3.
Yeah.
So here is our chat with the beautiful and talented Margarita from the Edge of Paradise. So since we last talked to you, you're actually on our wall. So that's exciting. We've added you in.
We have a wall of fame.
Awesome. Thank
Last time we talked to you, I think it was like completely black back here. I don't think we had anything. When I look at like our first videos, I was like, oh my God, that looks horrible. So we added in bands and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So you've been just a little bit busy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's just we had it's good busy, and then just a lot of things just happening that I wish didn't happen, but we just have to deal with them as we go. But all good.
Tell me about it. My son got married last weekend. It was just like it was so stressful. Everybody's like, "Oh, congratulations!" I'm like, "No, this was really, really stressful." It was just all this stuff. And the girl she married from Nepal. So we had a Nepalese ceremony. And I'm like, somebody's got to put this stuff on me because I don't even know how to fold this. And then we had a Western ceremony. And my daughter insisted we have hair and makeup done. And I'm like, oh. So
yeah, that was
that's really cool. Wow. Like culture mixing.
It was cool. Our side had about 15 people and her side had about 300 from Nepal. So
it was a lot of fun.
It was overwhelming. Yeah.
Well, you just finished a huge tour, which I'm hoping maybe will continue because I love Lacuna Coil and I love you guys. And Birthday Massacre is new to me. How was it working with those guys?
It was a great tour. There's nothing bad I can say about it. I mean, all the tours are always fun, but it was just such a great collection of people. The shows were amazing. Just the bands, they're so much fun and inspiring, and the energy was great. The venues were awesome. We had a blast. I mean, there's always like a bit stressful because you're like, just hope everything just works out because there's so much that goes into a tour. But it was also a new setup for us because we had our own sound guy, Brandon. We had like a whole new system that we brought with us. So it was, just kind of when something is new, you worry about it a little bit. But everything worked out great. It was just another step up for us, stage show wise. And we had a really great response from the crowd. So we're just really happy and we can't wait to do it again.
Was this the first time with your light box? I saw some shots of that where you could really get up on it. And did you make that or?
I had something like that before. Yeah, this one, well, I made part of it. Like the box itself, it comes like it, and then I put these lasers on top. So like when it's dark and we have some fog, you can really see it. So we incorporated some more lasers and some lights. So it was a lot of fun. I tried not to look down at it, so it doesn't like shoot into my eyes.
It's really good because and it's almost like energy, like your energy getting, transposed to the crowd. It's great. Yeah, we interviewed this one poor girl and they use a lot of lights from Night Goat, and she actually has to wear a hat or she'll like strobe out and run into something. So sometimes she does run into stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
But I love that. So I saw like a sample of like a set list, which was like Soldiers of Dangers, This Is Personal, Digital Paradise, One Last Time, Unbeatable, Basics, and then of The Unknown. Did you vary it up or did you try to stick with the same set list?
And when we did during the tour, I guess because everything's kind of planned, so we had to follow the set list like it was, just because, between us, between the sound guy, and just the flow of the show. So it was pretty consistent.
Well, that, and I mean, it's a good mix of new and favorites, I thought, smart. But what was your favorite song to perform out of it? Did you have a favorite?
That's so hard to say, because some of the songs are new, and when you're playing something new, it's always like the energy is so exciting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Soldiers, it's just such a great opener, and I think it really sets the tone, and it brings people in. And then, following up with Hologram, and then, more upbeat songs. It's like, it shows a good range of our style, and it gets people going. So we always kind of get into the energy of the songs. And I mean, it's hard to say, because like I always love The Unknown as well. It's a song that we close with, and that's like very close to my heart. So it just depends on what song. Like it's every song has its own energy, I would say. But the new ones are definitely fun. So
Yeah, it's hard to pick, I know, out of all those. I was like, that's a really good set list.
So what happened with Frontiers? What happened? I mean, it seems like everything's worked out now.
Has it got
or-
resolved to your satisfaction now?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
well,
what can you say? I mean, if you can't say anything, then you can't
Then
say
don't.
anything. Yeah. But-
at this point, I mean, um, there is, we don't, it's just like we always want to focus on the music. So that's why we never really like talking about like the business side of things and anything negative. But it's just, there was a lot of confusion because the songs came out, and, we weren't really posting about them because they came out on our surprise. But what
Yeah.
happened is, this is our last album for them. So, the way it works with us is, they give us half the advance, then we deliver them the album, then they give us the rest of the advance, plus, the music videos and so forth, the artwork, the band photos. So when we delivered the album, they never gave us the advance back for the album, the artwork, for the photos, for nothing. And, we kept asking, and then they're like, well, unless you sign over all your publishing to all the other songs, to all your other albums and this one, we're not going to give you the advance back.
Oh,
And
wow.
like a dispute between like when the album was going to get released, because we're like, we have a tour coming up. We want the album to come out around the tour, before the tour, so we can, promote it.
Right, play the song.
Um, Yeah, and they didn't want to release that around the tour. So when, but besides the point, the main thing was the fact that they were supposed to give us the advance according to their own contract. There was nothing in the contract that says we have to give them publishing for nothing. So that's why it was a dispute. So on our side, it was a breach of contract. So our lawyers was like, the contract's terminated. Then obviously they didn't agree with that, so they already had the album because I sent it to them. So they just distributed it, and the distributor, they kind of like stayed out of it. So that's why, like, for us to really get the music down, and that's what we kind of figured, we either pursue that, but that would cause the music to sort of be in limbo, and at the time we didn't really want that. So we just figured we're gonna promote the music, and of course Frontiers aren't really promoting it, and so everything's I don't even know where we stand right now. I mean, I know that we're officially we're free and clear.
Okay.
The album there. The album's up there. We're happy that people are hearing the music. We're gonna do what we can promoting it, and it's still our music. Once this licensing timeline is over, it's our music. So that's the silver lining. And now we're back in the studio writing more music, and just, you know, focusing on the future. And we have a lot of shows coming up, so we're you know, things are good. It's just, I guess every band has a story like this.
Yeah.
Oh, some much worse.
Yeah, so much worse. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so afraid to like anything because every time I saw it, you were like, take this down. I'm like, I don't know. I want to like this, but I don't want to like this. I'm so confused.
Because we, at the time it happened, we were still figuring out the plan of action. And we didn't know, because some of the distributors were taking it down, like YouTube took it down. So we didn't know which way it was going to go. But we just figured, like, that's why we figured it's out there, we're just gonna go with it, because we didn't want it to affect you know, the people, our supporters, fans, just like, you know, we didn't want to put any negative thing out there. So
Good. So now I'm safe to like.
Yeah, you're safe to like. Well, I'll tell you what, wow. I mean, it's a shame because tell me about that. How did you come up with the idea of the concept album? I mean, I can just tell so much work went into this. Like, how did that come
yeah,
about?
yeah. I mean, we're so proud of this album, and that's why it's a little bit of a shame that things sort of, the release of it got derailed a little bit. We didn't really get the proper preparation, but I think it's you know, this album with this lineup, it's really the first time that everybody was so involved, because before it was more Dave and I, and now like the whole band is, you know, we're in the studio, so the energy behind the album is much different. It's more raw, it's more, we're like so it's like us against the world in a way, or against the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first heard it, I mean, it was instant. I was running the first time it just happened to come on my Spotify, and I immediately knew it was Edge of Paradise. But I thought, you know, this is just as hard and heavy. It's got like more hooks than Velcro, but it just seemed a little darker to me. So I didn't realize it was a concept and all that. So after I read the whole synopsis, I'm like, now I understand why.
Right.
No, like when I didn't even think about it that it's a concept album. I started realizing it when it's all done and people started like saying that. And then when we started filming music videos, you know, the story sort of started to take shape, because when we were writing it, we're writing the songs, I never really thought of it in that way. But like with the first song, The Faceless, you know, I talk about the faceless in that song. And then it sort of morphed into the faceless civilization. And, you know, as the story and the songs progress, now it's like the civilization that got, have access, you know, figured out a way to merge themselves with super intelligence and are able to use it to their advantage, but then something goes wrong. And then it's like a whole story behind it.
Yeah.
And with hologram, it's like we're traveling to these dangerous worlds, and the only way we're able to get there is through our holograms, right? So it's kind of like there's a little bit of like questions, like whether like are we holograms, or is the world a hologram? So it could be interpreted in many ways. And yeah, we're just having a lot of fun with it. Like the music video that's coming out in July 14th, when the album comes out, it's kind of like the origin story of how the faceless acquired this artificial intelligence, and the key that sort of merges it all together. And so it's fun.
That makes more sense. I was a little confused about the lyrics when it was like, we're never backing down because we're holograms, hollow holograms. I'm like, I'm so confused.
So yeah, I can kind of tell you the thought behind it. So hologram, it's kind of inspired, you know, I love reading about all these crazy planets, and it's actually inspired by a real planet. So there's a planet out there, it's nicknamed Reign of Terror, because it rains shards of glass sideways, and it's a constant storm. So it's like one of the most terrifying conditions out there. And, obviously there's no way anybody could ever survive that. So I figured, if we are able to have our consciousness sort of exist in this digital code, like, the Digital Paradise song sort of started that thought, then we're able to kind of travel anywhere in the universe, right? Because we're not in our physical forms. So if we're as holograms, experience all these crazy worlds and, survive because our physical form is somewhere else. But then also the hollow part is kind of asking the question, whether is it really us behind it, or is it just computer, like artificial intelligence? It's just collection of our thoughts and memories, but there's no real soul behind it. So that's kind of like where the hollow thing comes in. But then we're never backing down because we're holograms. It's, the fact that we're able to survive anything. So that's kind of where that whole thing comes together.
That
Really
is
clever.
That is cooler than the last 5 Matrix movies, Margarita. It is. So. And I know that's not saying much, but it is really cool. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, it seemed like you guys were in the studio forever. I
did.
kept seeing all kinds of shots. How long did it take to create all this?
Yeah, I feel like we're always in the studio recently because I don't even remember when we started, but I remember we started and then we had shows and we had to get back, and then we had a deadline that by December 25th or whatever it was, we had to deliver the album. So our songs, they're a bit more what should I say? There's a lot of files there. Like I'm editing files right now.
I can relate, yeah.
Long. Yeah, like, because we have, it's not just like drums, vocals, and guitars. It's a lot of layers of guitars. There's a lot of industrial samples and, keyboards, like a lot of, because I did a lot of the cinematic arrangements, and it takes a lot of time to kind of make sure all the parts work together. Because once we record the vocals, then the guitars, then I have to redo all the keywords to make it fit what the new guitars are now. So everything sort of goes through this evolution process. And then we send all the files off to Jacob in Denmark to mix. And that's like a whole process, So yeah, it probably took us a year to make it. But, like we started it maybe a year ago, but then really like 3 months is when we were like every day. So
I like your Instagram studio updates. I like it.
Fun. Yeah,
I enjoyed them.
I like recording. It's really cool to like see what the final song turns into, where it starts and where it ends up.
Let's talk about this artwork. This is some incredible artwork. Like, who did this, and how did you find someone to do this? This is like right out of Steven Spielberg or something,
Thank you. So we just had like a live video with the artist Alex Ruiz. We jumped on Instagram Live, and I asked him some questions, and we had some nice discussions all about like the artificial intelligence and consciousness, because he's all into that.
Right.
So it's really fun to talk to him. But yeah, so my fiance actually knew him before, and he kind of turned me onto his art, and he created the artwork for The Unknown as well. So I just feel like our music and his artwork, it really goes so well together. So when we were making this album, I already contacted him. I was like, Alex, can you make something that's inspired by this album? And he was into it, so that's how we connected. But yeah, he worked for Marvel, he worked for Disney, he is a concept artist. Like he was just telling me he created the Beauty and the Beast remake. He created the Beast, the concept. So yeah, he does a lot of that, and he does a lot of digital art, he does a lot of art by hand. So, and he's just a really interesting person. He's like a true artist. It's always great. So
After
it's fun.
seeing all your paintings, I wasn't entirely not convinced that it wasn't you
Yeah.
with all your great artwork.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, I don't like to do cover art just because I feel like, well, you know, I like painting, but it's just like a little bit of a different style, I guess. And I just like that when you get the outside input, and because it's such a big deal, like it's putting a face to the music. So
Yeah.
I'd rather someone
Yeah. No,
and it's someone that I really trust, and I trust that has the vision, and that, you know, obviously Alex is a great artist. So
well, the whole
um,
package turned out great. I mean, not just the cover, but the band photos, because they sent us all the whole booklet.
yeah.
It turned out great. So congratulations. It turned out really, it's stunning. It really is.
I also,
thank you. Thank
you know, really liked how like on the lyric videos you kind of bring those faceless people to life. It looks like they stepped right out of there for the video.
Yeah.
So that worked perfect. We were watching the other night. I'm like, oh, there's the faceless.
Yeah.
Eventually, I want to make like mini short films for the music videos, just because I feel like there's so much story to be told. So, but yeah, thank you. Takes I put a lot of thought behind the lyric videos. I hope people enjoy them. So
Yeah, we
thank you.
do. We do.
And who did you also do the graphic novel and the language and the comic book and all of that?
Right. The language is on the back.
my God.
It's on the CD booklet. Right.
Yeah, so actually my fiance, his art goes by artist named Dresden 7, but his name is Chris. So he created the language for us years ago. Yeah, it's been like 3 years, 4 years. But he also is behind the kind of the thought, the storyline, because we exchange ideas a lot, and he is in the videos. He's actually he's he's in the music video hologram. He is the
Okay.
faceless.
That's cool.
But yeah, he is, you know, we're kind of creating it as we go together. The graphic novel, it's not done yet, so we're working on it. I think we're gonna probably release it in the new year, just because we really want to make sure that all the, you know, it's a lot of work because you have to create all the artwork, the story, merge it all together, and we want to make it more of like an interactive graphic novel where, you know, as you read it, there are QR codes. You can go to the music video that pertains to the story, you know, point in the story, or you go to the song where you are in the story. And we want to make sure like the print is really unique, like maybe use some holographic inks, or, you know, just really put a lot of thought into it, and also have it lead into the next album, because you know, everything is sort of the continuation of one another. Like this hologram is sort of continuation where the unknown you know, left off. So
Yeah, that's
we'll
wild.
see. It's a lot of
Yeah, that's great. It's good that you have a good team and you have such pros to rely on. Because I know that sometimes with us, we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and sometimes I'm like, it's got to stop. It's too much, you know. And like with you, a different language, the novel, it's so much. So you have a great network to be able to get all that done. You know.
Yeah, I am lucky. Like we're surrounded by a lot of creative people that
Yeah,
are,
that's
you know,
great.
it's inspiring, you know, connecting with others over creating. So I'm, yeah, lucky
The
in that
books
way.
reminded me when my kids were little. I read them. You probably never heard of it. It's this kids series called Artemis Fowl. It's a bunch of series, and they're like fairies, and they have a whole fairy language. Well, she got so into it, she was intent on learning to write in this language. So maybe there's somebody out there doing that. You never know. When it all comes out.
When we first started, because the language was already on the last album, and we would post, you know, write some messages, and people, because we always have a cipher, but when we first started posting it, some people were deciphering without the cipher. I don't know how, Well, I mean, I know how. It's just it takes so long because it's like so many variations. But yeah, I think it's fun. It's like a secret code.
That is so cool.
Yeah, you're gonna end up getting messages in it. You watch. People with a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah, exactly.
So I thought your sound on this album, if you don't agree with me, tell me, but it's kind of like symphonic metal and hard rock with like some ambient sound sprinkled in. Did the emotions of each song kind of dictate what the blend would be?
Sorry, what was the last part?
There's so much emotion in each song. Did that kind of dictate what the
Oh,
blend would be?
Yeah, it's an interesting point because like it's always you never know which way the song's gonna go. I mean, I first make it on like keyboard, so first it starts off by being like really cinematic because there's just like keyboards and some drum samples, and then I go and put the vocals in, and then as a band we kind of make it into what the song becomes. So I guess, yes, the emotion kind of leads the way because for me, the melody sort of starts it all. Like I make it on the piano, so I have like an idea for like an instrumental idea, and that sort of inspires me to go into a certain direction lyrically, and then the story of the song comes to life, and then I guess that leads where the music evolves to. And then of course, like when Dave adds guitars, the song sort of grows into its own thing. But I already recorded the vocals, so for me it's really important when I go record the vocals that I really give it my all, and then the emotion is just kind of charges it all up. So I guess you're right. I just never really thought of it that way, but yeah.
Well, a good example I think of that is, my God, your vocals on "Don't Give Up on Me" are just incredible. Like, what's going on in that song? Like, what part of the story is that?
Yeah, so that song, yeah, it's I remember writing it. I guess it's kind of about, you know, it's hard to say because like because you can interpret it different ways, whether it's a relationship or just a path you choose in life. But that saying, some people say like, oh, I guess it's not meant to be, or it's meant to be. And then sometimes that saying sort of makes it okay to give up on something, give up on someone. So for me, I always try to sort of be control of my own destiny in a way, even though it's hard because I don't know where I stand on that point of view. I still don't know if I believe in destiny or if I believe that we are creators of our own fate. I kind of want to lean that, but then things sort of happen for a reason, and I look back in my life and things sort of just happen, and I feel like they're supposed to happen in that way. So I'm kind of torn. So the song, I kind of hold on to that idea that we are still in charge of our own fate, and don't give up on it. Don't give up on me. Like, I'm not going to give up on you if I really want to make it happen. If I care about something, I'm not going to give up on it. Even if the world is trying to tear you apart.
Wow.
So that's kind of the idea behind it.
Another one of our favorite tracks off this has to be "This Is Personal."
That's my favorite
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like how the tempo slows down as you get mad and you're like laying down your terms. It had to be like your delivery. It's almost like you become an actress. Was there anything you had to think of or gear up to for that kind of emotional, angry performance?
Yeah, I think that song, it's inspired by, when you care about someone, right? Like anything is personal for like you're really you're gonna fight for it. And for me, like I thought of it as, you know, the band, like nothing is gonna, no one's gonna screw with us. Whatever you try to do, like, oh, we're going. So that's kind of like my thought behind it. But yeah.
It comes through. That's a powerful song.
Did you watch The Handmaid's Tale, the series?
No, but I heard so much about it, so I'm gonna watch it.
We've been stuck in it. It's very dark, like, you know,
Yeah, it's
prepare yourself with Kleenex. But it's like we were watching it last night, and I'm like, I can hear that song in the background. This is personal. This goes perfect with it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't be surprised if somebody comes at you to make this a major motion picture.
Right, right.
I hope so. One day, fingers
Did
crossed.
you think when you first started out with Edge of Paris, did you think that you'd be making a concept sci-fi symphonic album? I mean, wow, you know, touring with Lacuna Coil. I mean, wow, you know.
You know, it's funny. I was recently talking about this with someone. We were talking about how when you kind of stuck in the constant, because you know you're always looking for the next thing, you're always working towards the next thing. So it's hard to just kind of stop and look back. And now that I look back, like there's so much that we went through, so much that we did, and I do really like. I'm really proud of it at this point because I know all the sacrifices that went into it to, you know, build something. When we first started with Dave, like what I can say is both of us were really motivated. Well, we were very passionate. We really put in everything we had. I mean, even at the time, I remember, you know, Dave had that 67 Chevelle and he sold it. He loved that car, but he sold it to make the first record. So for the long haul.
Yeah.
And we were, yeah, because we had some really rough times and, you know, we never gave up. And I mean, at this point, like we owe it to ourselves to just keep going. And because at this point, there's no plan B, there's no looking back, it's only forward. So in terms of sci-fi, like I was always into, like I always wanted to create something that's a little bit larger than life because I love all that stuff. So I'm not surprised in that regard. I think for Dave, you know, I'm more of like the ideas concept person, and he just likes playing guitar. He's like,
well, that's important, right? Yeah.
So
but
I was intrigued by the basilisk. This is my best basilisk dress, by the way. You were saying, because you were like mid-tour and you're like, we're going down to the caverns to bring the basilisk to life. So what was that like? Because that's not quite out yet.
Yeah, that was kind of it's funny because I always like schedule video shoots and Dave's like, are you crazy? Like we can't do it right now. And I'm like, we gotta make it happen. So but yeah, it's funny. Some people don't know what the basilisk is because, you know, I think Medusa is like kind of similar and people are more familiar with Medusa character. But, you know, the basilisk was in Harry Potter.
Yes.
Our drummer Jamie calls the song Ballistic. But yeah, the music video is really fun for this one because it kind of turned into the origin story. So I'm kind of embodying the basilisk and I'm guarding the artifact that was the key to connecting the faceless civilization to super intelligence. So in the music video, it's kind of like the first time where the faceless encounters this basilisk, and he is the chosen one to be able to take this artifact and you know, basically use it to control artificial intelligence. So I can't wait for you guys. Oh, you saw it, I think, right? It's because it's on that page too. But yeah, I'm excited for everybody.
Yeah, I love the hologram video. All of a sudden, there's this blonde lady with claws. I'm like, that looks suspiciously like Margarita.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think some people who didn't know it was me.
They're like, that's Lady Gaga.
As far as I'm aware, you're the only female in the band. So, I mean, you know, yeah.
They're like, who's the blonde lady? I'm like,
Hmm.
guys,
Yeah.
Well, should we do our game?
Yeah. Let's start again.
We still play our game, if you remember. And we just recently redid the questions. So I have 100 questions before me. So you want to pick 5 numbers between 1 and 100.
okay, let's take 7. Let's take 77. Let's take 87 and 97 and 100.
She's one of those 7
7.
people. Okay.
Right,
You've had
wait,
this before.
Did I miss one?
And one more.
99.
All right. Question number 7. Which was the make and model of your first car?
It was a Jaguar 1998, I believe. It was like one of the old ones. It was a big hunk of metal.
Like driving a boat.
Yeah. That's funny.
Awesome. All right, 77. Are you good at any arts or crafts? I think
Well, I
she
think we
is.
know
I
this.
think we know
We
this.
know this.
I like arts and crafts.
What is the medium you use to paint?
I use acrylic a lot, acrylic paint. I love working with resin. I love making like different resin stuff. But yeah, acrylic is just really easy to work with. It's vibrant. I mean, I love oil paint, but it's a little more involved.
Yeah. That's a good question for her.
Yeah, definitely. All right, 87. What is the most awkward date you have ever been on?
Oh my.
Awkward. You know, it's funny, like I never really went out on dates before because I feel like it's just awkward in general.
It's awkward just to start with.
Just-
I went on one of those dating websites. There was on occasion I would leave mid first date. My line was, I have to go to the bathroom, and zing, I was a gazelle to my car. Goodbye.
Well, how did you meet?
Yeah.
How did you meet people if you didn't date at all? You had to have some kind of technique. I mean,
Yeah, for me it was always like kind of became natural, like you someone either approaches you or you're there and you just start the conversation and it feels natural, right? I've
okay.
never been thing where you kind of go on a date and you don't know who the person is. Terrifying.
I know it sounds so appealing. I know.
I wouldn't recommend it. 0 stars.
No. Oh my God.
So we did 97. 97. What is your least favorite social media platform?
TikTok.
Oh,
Oh, look at that.
we are soul
Why-
sisters.
Why is that?
I don't know. Okay, it feels like it's not like it was the last social media platform that rejoined
Yeah.
because like we started on Facebook and it kind of we grew our community on Facebook, then
Yeah.
Instagram. It feels very personal because you like really get to know your community. Twitter is a little, it's a little different, but still, it's just kind of you post news updates. TikTok, it's weird because there's not, I feel like it's not very personal because I don't really know anybody on there.
Yeah.
If people from Facebook and from Instagram come on there, so that's a little different. But then I just like a platform as a whole. Like I have kind of mixed feelings about it. Like I remember when I first downloaded the app, and this was really weird to me because it's like a blank slate, right?
Right.
No history. And then the videos that were pushed onto me were like 12-year-olds dancing to really, profane music, like
my
half
God.
naked, pushed onto me, and I was just like, it was really strange. But then it's just yeah, I don't know how I feel about that app, but everybody's on it, and there's a lot of things you learn a lot from it, from people, because it's a lot of people post really interesting content. But then I think what I don't agree is the platform as a whole pushes the videos maybe shouldn't be pushed as hard.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I like the duck video, and now all I get is ducks and owls.
Yeah. It's the only platform that I actually handle for us. Stace does all the others. And
Mhm.
I've learned to like it. But the thing is, I have to put up a joke that is less than 30 seconds. That if you go beyond 30 seconds, you're dead on TikTok. So every time we
Really?
do a show, I have to go, where's my 30-second kill joke? Because that's
Oh, that's funny.
not 35 seconds. 35 seconds. No, that's no good. Yeah. So because people are just like, nope, 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 you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just ADHD, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I apologize for this question in advance. Number 99. If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your family or friends assume that you did?
You came up with that one. That's not one of mine. Sorry.
Maybe they that it's kind of a funny one. I like it.
Yeah, that's a
I
Stace. Yeah.
probably snuck snuck into like something in NASA and like press a bunch of buttons and see what it does, or like try to uncover some classified documents.
Yeah.
I like knowing.
Oh, that's great.
Running around stealing artifacts.
This is funny. Now,
Yeah.
my parents got one of these scam calls, and they said that my daughter was stuck at the Canadian border. And yeah. And it was the scam is it's a girl's voice. So they think that it's real, right? Wait, and again, my parents are like in their 80s, right? So they call me and they go, we're in the car. We're going to Walmart to send the Western Union. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh my
And
God.
they said, where is she? And I said, I just dropped her off at Panera Bread where she worked 5 minutes ago. They didn't believe me. They had to call
Oh my
Panera and hear her voice before. I mean, I guess, all right, I'm her father. I just dropped her off. I think I can vouch that she's not stuck at the Canadian border. They were ready to send the money. They were like, let's do it, you know. Anyway.
God. Yeah.
Well, you have a
Terrible.
lot more coming up. You have the Blue Ridge Rock Festival in September. Is there any band you're really hoping to catch the set of, or are you just gonna kind of go in and go out?
No, there's so many bands. I mean, Evanescence is one of them that I always wanted to see. I think Pantera is playing. So many bands are playing. Yeah, we're definitely sticking around and watching as much as we can.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be huge. And then after that, I wasn't real sure where you guys are going. So is the Lacuna Toil, is that done? Or is it going to be another leg?
there's talks. We're going to be touring in the fall. It's going to be announced soon, so it's kind of getting confirmed now. Lacuna Coil is definitely touring in the fall. I don't know if we're going to be touring with them or someone else. We'll see. But they're definitely coming back, and they're awesome. We're going to see them in Mexico for sure at the Life After Death Festival. So that one's going to be in December. And Lita Ford is on it. Camelot is on it. So it's going to be a really fun one. It's in Mexico City. So our first time in Mexico. So we're excited for
that. Sounds great.
Yeah.
We have to let us know how that goes. And I'm hoping still to get you guys over here on the East Coast because I'm selfish.
Yeah, we're coming in October, November, definitely. So we'll see you.
Great.
I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for that one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, this was great. As always, Margarita, thank you for doing this. And good luck with the album.
And your major motion picture that's definitely coming up behind this. I can see it happening.
I hope so.
Well,
thank you guys for
this one band, Sick and Beautiful. They actually do all their own special effects. They're in Italy, and they made their own picture. So you're so do it yourself. You'll just be like, oh, we're just putting it up.
Make your own movie, right?
Your own movie, your own label. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for taking this time, and we look forward to seeing you live.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you guys. Always such a pleasure. Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
wait to meet you guys finally. We're gonna make it happen this
If you
fall.
come within 500 miles of where we
We'll
live,
be
we're,
there.
we're going to be
We'll
there.
be there.
We will make it happen.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.